Sega.
Hello and welcome to the first installment of the Total War Academy. The Total War Academy is a series of videos which will help mold the players of Total War into skilled commanders that rival history's greatest. As the series progresses, we'll teach you the basics of commanding armies to the more advanced tactics involved in winning battles, even when the odds are stacked against you. For this episode, we're going to introduce you to the rules of the battlefield in Total War. Everything you'll need to know about your army, how to move it, and the terrain in which you move it will be covered in this episode. Every army in Total War is composed of units and a general. A general is one person in a specialized unit, and you cannot have an army without one. This is the most important soldier on the battlefield, and should be protected at all times. Your general will encourage and inspire your troops, enhancing their combat skills and keeping them under your control. More on how the general affects your units later. Core to every Total War game, a unit is one self-contained group of soldiers that you control. A single army can contain up to 20 units, but you can control up to 40 units on the battlefield at once by fielding 2 armies. The most important things that influence a unit's behavior on the battlefield are its morale and fatigue. Morale is how confident the soldiers in a unit are. If a unit's morale drops too low, they will waver and eventually rout. When routing, the unit will try and run away to safety. During this time, you cannot issue orders to that unit, but if they get far enough away from the action and manage to regroup, they can rejoin the fight, allowing you to control them again.
Enemy units have rallied and returned to the battle!
If a unit's morale continues to drop, however, they may be completely shattered, whereby they will no longer be viewed as part of your army for the duration of the battle, and will never rejoin the fight. Different things can affect a unit's morale. Taking casualties, getting surrounded, or having their general die will significantly lower morale. Morale then can be raised by winning in combat, having a general nearby, or by being encouraged by nearby units. Keeping your unit's morale high is essential in maintaining your army during a battle. With the right circumstances, hundreds of soldiers can run from the battlefield because you have broken them, making them feel like winning is impossible. To see the direct effect morale has on your unit at any given time, just hover over the morale stat in the unit info panel during a battle. Their tooltip icon when hovering over the unit directly will go from green to red to indicate the condition of the morale. Fatigue is also something that directly affects a unit's performance in battle. It works just as expected. The more exhausting the task, the faster fatigue will diminish. Walking, running, and fighting are the main contributing factors to fatigue, but the weather, terrain, sickness, and other campaign effects can also hinder a unit's ability to regain fatigue. The more tired a unit is, the worse they will perform in battle, potentially getting them killed. It's best to always attack with a fresh unit, so patience is key when approaching the enemy army. Don't run, unless you have to. To check a unit's fatigue at any time, you can hover over the unit card, or just press the spacebar. Similar to morale, the icon will go from green to red to indicate the level of fatigue. Maneuverability is another key aspect of battles. You'll need to be able to order your soldiers into the correct formations if you want to deal with whatever situation will be thrown your way. Remember that controls can be customized at any time to suit your preferences, and with each iteration of Total War, the control scheme is refined and improved. Moving and ordering units around is simple. Select a unit by left-clicking their unit card, or by clicking them directly. To move them to a location, right-click the terrain, or hold right-click and drag out the formation of them, adjusting how many ranks deep you want your unit. Increasing the rank will help deal with charges better, but will cover less ground. Best to have deep lines for defense and wide lines for offense. Pressing Alt and holding left click will allow you to drag a unit around the battlefield, keeping their formation. Alternatively, using the arrow keys will move them forward, back, left and right, and holding the control while pressing the arrow keys will adjust their rotation, rank and file. All of these functions work while using grouped units. To group a unit, place the units in the formation you want, and by pressing Ctrl G, that will lock their formation and allow you to move them around together. Alternatively, you can use one of the pre-built formations when you need to get your men in order quickly. As you can see, the movement tools are really simple, but provide a powerful amount of control which will allow you to get the right formations together very quickly. Now you're aware of the effects on units and how to move them around, we'll touch on the terrain of the battlefield. Line of sight plays a significant role on the battlefield. If your troops cannot see something, then you won't be able to see it either. Similarly, trees and shrubs can hide units in them because of dense foliage. A unit that can hide will automatically crouch down and hide once in a wooded area, however that will slow them down. This line of sight system allows for great ambush tactics that we'll talk about in a later episode. Terrain has an effect on your units in a number of ways. Moving uphill will tire out soldiers faster, and different types of terrain can speed up or slow units. Roads speeding them up and shallow water slowing them down, for example. You can always hover over the terrain to figure out what effects it will have on your units if you're unsure. If you want to use the terrain to your advantage, you should look to deploy on a hill. The unit controlling the high ground in combat will have a bonus in combat, and will be very tough to beat. Cavalry charges downhill are especially effective. Alternatively, if your enemy holds the high ground, best to get them down off of there with missile fire, as charging uphill is tiring for your soldiers and gives the enemy a combat advantage. Lastly, weather can have an effect on the condition of your units. In snow, units are slower, in rain, fire is less efficient. In clear weather, there are no adverse effects. With this knowledge, you can further enhance your strengths in a battle. If you suspect the enemy has missile superiority, you may want to fight a night battle so you can get closer before they could see you. Next episode will show you how to get to grips with commanding your own armies in open land battles. We'll cover the different unit classes, traits and abilities that alter the outcome of the battle, and what to do if things aren't going your way. We hope you've enjoyed the first Total War Academy video. Remember to subscribe for more exclusive Total War videos.